So welcome today to the Sage Kitchen. This is the first of a series that I don't know what we're going to call, but I'm going to start teaching because a little background, we have 13 children. I grew up in a family where my mother was the only cook in the house. She did not let anybody into her kitchen except to eat. So I learned nothing. I went off to college and I knew how to toast a piece of toast, and that's about all I knew how to do. And so I've had to learn to cook. And I don't want that for my children because, I mean, it's fine. I figured it out. Luckily, my husband is the youngest of 11 children, and all of his older siblings would feed him. He's like, you got to call Val for this recipe. You got to call Terry for that recipe. Make sure that you call Charlotte. She has this great recipe. So I would, at the beginning, I called all these sisters. And he's like, no, that wasn't quite right. Do it again. So, he knew what it was supposed to taste like, and I learned how to cook. And in learning, I've learned to love to cook. But I cook for a crowd. Every day, well, not anymore so much, but for a long, many, many years, I cooked for up to 15 people. And now every Sunday we cook for nearly, how many? There's almost 40 of us. They don't all come to Sunday dinner because some of them live away, but I cook for at least probably 30 on a Sunday. And the kids' friends know that if they don't have dinner on Sunday, they can come to our house because we'll have dinner on Sunday. So so for me to scale down to this is going to be a trick. So today we're not going to single recipe. We might single a few. We're going to maybe double, but I usually 4 or 5 times. So this will be a trick for me to do my math backwards. Anyway, beans has been one of the things our family really enjoys because they're so easy. Once I figured out the pressure cooker thing, we didn't eat beans. I thought, well, if I've got to soak them overnight and in order to use them the next day for dinner, I don't think that far enough. During the day before, I'm just trying to get through the day. And by 4 o'clock, I'm trying to decide what to have for dinner. But if I do that at 4 o'clock and I have a pressure cooker, I can cook beans. I can pull beans out of the bucket and have them on the table within about an hour, maybe an hour and a half on some beans, okay? The other thing about beans is for storage, let's go to food storage, okay? Beans are cheap compared to other food storage items. Beans and grains make a complete protein. So if you have beans and you have grains and you mix those together, you have complete protein, okay? Half this world, well, maybe not half, but a lot of people in this world eat rice and beans, right? And there's a reason for that. It's because together that makes complete protein. It's nutritious. Beans are actually very high in nutritional. Let me give you some of the nutritional bean facts here. They're super high in iron, 3 to 5 milligrams per cup. High in magnesium, 100 to 150 milligrams per cup. Potassium, 500 to 700 milligrams per cup. That's a lot. Calcium, 50 to 100 milligrams per cup. Zinc, 2 to 3 milligrams per cup. That must be a lot for us, I guess. Folate, so we're all looking for folate, but without the folic acid, right? We don't want that folic acid that they add to our foods, but we want the folate because it's good for us. 100 to 200 milligrams, it's mcg, so it must be micrograms per cup of folate. So you're going to get your folate if you eat your beans without having the folic acid added into your food. Vitamin B6. Pinto beans are high in protein, fiber, and iron. Black beans, rich in fiber, potassium, and magnesium. Kidney beans, excellent source of protein, fiber, and folate. White beans, high in calcium, magnesium, and we think white calcium, that makes sense, right? Calcium, magnesium, and zinc. Black beans and kidney beans are on the list of superfoods. On the ORAC value, they are. So I'll give you a little story. When my husband was involved with Tasha Noni International when you've heard of the noni juice, right? Everybody's kind of heard noni juice. And they had this ORAC value for the noni. All this stuff was going for, the blueberries were high on the ORAC value. And, it was ORAC value. They kept talking about this ORAC value for this noni juice. Then they got to looking on the chart, and black beans and kidney beans were like 10 times more than the blueberry and stuff they were putting in this, this bottle of noni juice. So black beans, kidney beans, super foods. Get a lot. I mean, if you're looking for good food. So fiber is good for heart health. It's good for digestion. Beans have good fiber in them. If you find that, I mean, a lot of people say, I can't eat beans, I get gassy. My experience is if you start eating beans, you might be gassy at first, but your body gets used to it, and you're not going to have the gas later on. There are tricks. You can add soda to your beans to reduce the gas. But I think if our bodies get used to eating things, they adapt, okay? So we eat a lot of beans. I don't feel like we have a problem with gas because we've had them in our diet for so long, okay? So there's some information on beans. I'm trying to see if I covered everything. Any questions while I'm, yes?
Yeah, do you know how long they store?
Okay, thank you, because I was going to come back to that and I forgot about that. So we were on this pressure cooker thing and I got sidetracked. They store for a long time, as long as you have a pressure cooker, okay? So after 3 to 5 years, they start going hard, where they won't soften. You have to cook them longer and longer and longer, and they'll get to the point where they're not going to soften up anymore in a pot, soaked. I don't care, you can soak them for 3 days. You can cook them for 8 days. They're not going to get soft, okay? If you have a pressure cooker, you can always soften up those beans. They will always, always get soft. My little story about how I learned that, my mother sent me off to college with some of her really old kidney beans. You know, here, good food for you. Thanks, Mom. So one day I decided, you know, I'm learning to cook and I'm super excited, and everybody I talked to in class, hey, come to my place tonight. We're having chili. I got chili on the stove. We're having chili for dinner, right? Come to my place for chili. And I invited all these people for chili. Got home and the beans were still crunchy. Like, oh no! So I, turned up the heat a little bit, stirred it a lot for an hour or two. So people started showing up and my beans were still crunchy. And we cooked them all night. Everybody went, off to McDonald's to do their own thing because I wasn't feeding them. And we cooked them all night, and my beans were still crunchy. So they never did get soft. That's how I figured out old beans won't get soft. You can cook them as long as you want to. I had done the soaking. I'd done everything I was supposed to do. They didn't get soft. But with a pressure cooker, in very little time, okay, they get soft. Here's my other, thank you for the question. The other thing I would recommend, pressure cookers for your food storage, just because. Now, who here has an Instapot? You guys have Instapots, right? People have it, okay, we all have Instapots. That's how I started pressure cooking, but then I kept burning them out because I'm feeding 15 people, and I'm putting them just as full as I can. I'm turning them on, the electronics are getting super hot, and finally, I burned 2 or 3 of them out. One day I burned one out on a Sunday, and I had decided to make Cafe Rio salads, so I had to cook the rice and the beans and the meat, and I didn't have my pressure cooker, and my Instapot, and I was panicked, and I remembered my husband had bought me a really expensive set of pressure cooker stovetop pressure cookers for Christmas, and I'd put them away not knowing what to do with them. Went and pulled them out, started using them, and I have never gone back, and I've bought more and more because I love the stovetop pressure cookers. I'm not saying anything against the Instapot, but for me, because I had them, they work better. Because I have various sizes, I can do small, I can do large. You can see these are some of my pressure cookers right now. This actually was a pressure cooker way back in the day. It's since lost its handle, so it won't lock anymore, so I just use it as a pot. But this is my biggest pressure cooker right there, and I love having just various sizes. This lid happens to fit on both tops, so I can do a small and a big one from this set. I've got 2 different brands here. I prefer these brands. They're German made. One is called BRK, and the other is called Kuhn Recon. And I can just let you look at that if you guys want to quick take a look and write it down if you want to look it down. That's how to spell it. Pass that around. That's how to spell it. And those are both German-made pressure cookers, and I love them. I'm not saying anything wrong about anything else. But these are the ones that I've gone to. They're a little bit more expensive. Pressure cookers, stovetop, are more expensive, but with very little heat, you can bring your pressure cooker up to pressure. And with even less heat, you can keep it at pressure. So if you only have a little rocket stove and a little bit of fuel because the power went out, you can make that pressure cooker work. If you only have a little camp stove that doesn't necessarily get really, really hot, some of them don't, you can make that pressure cooker work, okay? You could even technically, I think, you could probably stick it, if you took care of the handles, you could stick it in the fire and it would come to pressure and it would stay, if you just, kind of, even with coals, you could put a few coals underneath like a Dutch oven, but you could use these very little heat to bring them up to pressure and even less heat. I turn mine down to the lowest simmer and it stays at pressure the whole time. Question?
Induction.
Induction, yes, I got it on induction right now. as long as they're made of the right materials, we're gonna figure this out right now because I've never used induction, and we've got to use induction today. So if it doesn't work, I'll pull my hot plates out. But for right now, I believe these should do induction. I think I have put the metal or the magnet on these, and I think they stick. So hopefully, with I haven't pre-tested them, but we'll have to figure out if they work on induction. They should. Okay, now any other questions on beans?
Well, question.
Yeah.
The Instapot, then they take longer than the pressure cooker.
No, Instapot is a pressure cooker. Oh. Instapot is an electric pressure cooker.
Oh.
Okay, I'm pushing these a little bit for storage just because if the power goes out, you can still use these. You can't use your Instapot if the power goes out. So you're stuck without being able to eat your beans. If you have these and the power goes out and you're off the grid for a bit, you can cook your beans because if you have a pressure cooker. Okay, and your beans are old, right?
So what's your heat source then?
So you would do like a little rocket stove. Okay. You could do a camp chef with a little butane burner or something like that on it, or what's the other fuel? Propane. You could So if you had a little barbecue with a little hot plate on the side, you could use that. And I haven't tried it, but I'm going to guarantee that if you had charcoal, you could put them on charcoal. It would bring them up. You could pull a few out, keep it down low. I think you could do it with charcoal. Okay, so I think to me, this makes a ton of sense for saving away for a rainy day. But don't stick it away. Use it in your kitchen. I use mine every day. But I just know in my heart, if the power goes out, I'm safe. I can use these. Okay, you can cook so any whole grains, cook in 10 minutes. If you love brown rice, but you just don't want to cook it forever, 10 minutes in the pressure cooker. Bring it up to pressure, 10 minutes, and you're good with the brown rice. Yeah, I'll take that back. Any other questions as to why we're pushing pressure cooking with beans or anything?
I might have missed it. How much longer for older beans? It takes longer, right?
You kind of have to play with it. I've never cooked them more than an hour for old beans. If you let it pressure down, I mean, it takes a little bit of time to let it pressure. If you open it up, try them, ooh, still crunchy, put the lid back on, they pressure up almost immediately. Okay, and then a little bit of extra heat, and they're back to pressure within about 5 minutes, and you can cook them longer. Then you have to let it pressure down, but all of these have releases where you can actually, push the button down and let it release quicker if you need it to go quick. So if you try it, it's not done. You want to cook it longer. You put the cap back on, and almost immediately the little button pops right back up again. Put it back on the heat, and it'll go right back to pressure. Okay, so that's what you have to do with the older beans. Okay, all right. Let's see. I think I've talked about all that stuff. Okay, we are going to start by demonstrating just a really simple how to cook just a dry bean in water. If you need it for an ingredient, let me tell you really quick. Once I started using my dry beans in my pressure cooker, I don't know when the last time was I opened a can of beans. They are so much better tasting and so much better for you than canned beans that you may not ever go back to canned beans. They're cheaper. For instance, garbanzo beans, I mean, look at these garbanzo beans right here. You know how they look in the can? They're all like gooey and slimy and gross. These, I've actually picked these up and just snacked on them because they're so yummy, just like this. So they do a better job. We're going to actually start. So let me start real quick by showing you. We're going to do this guy, I think. So here's my pressure cooker. Here's 2 cups of beans. Beans so grains are 2 to 1, right? 2 cups of water to 1 cup of beans, or 1 cup of grains, right? Beans, I go 3 to 1, or as close as I can to 3 to 1. 2.5 to 1 is fine. If you don't do that, the water in here goes below the bean and the top layer is crunchy. You have to so you're probably going to end up dumping water on most of your beans. You can use it in other things if you want to, but you have to cover the beans really well with water. If they don't stay covered during the cook time, they're crunchy on top. Yeah?
More water?
They're only going to absorb so much water. The hardness is, they look the same when they're old as they do when they're not. I don't know, maybe a little bit more. Good question. Then you're losing some of the water. Yeah. Yeah, just make sure. And if you release the pressure, open them up, and there's a layer on top that's not covered in water and they're crunchy, stir them up, put some more water in, and put them right back in. And keep cooking them. Okay, I've got 2 cups of garbanzo beans. I'm going to go 6 cups of water. If you want to pre-soak for the nutrient value, yes, you can. I actually did pre-soak in a minute. See, so part of this class today, my incentive to do this is because we're doing a video for the Nourish on a Budget group that they asked us to do a video for them on Nourish on a Budget. I'm doing the hummus for them. So this portion of the video will probably end up on their thing. So I'm going to explain a little bit more like to them. The 2 cups of dry beans, 3 cups of water. I actually did soak these that I did for probably 4 or 5 hours before I cooked them. So soaking, okay, some people argue that soaking takes out the phytic acid and things like that, boosts the nourishment, it helps them to start growing and soaking. Soaking is going to help them cook a little faster, even that 3 or 4 hour cook time, but I did not soak them overnight. The soak overnight for beans, if you're cooking them on a regular pot, is more just so that they will actually get through the cooking process. Otherwise, you'll be cooking them for a long time. Okay?
You dump the water after soaking to remove the phytic?
Yeah, and rinse them and everything like that. Yeah, you'd have to dump the water, rinse it all out to remove the phytic acid. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to just put a little pinch of salt in here. You guys want to start cooking? I've got helpers that are gonna cut some veggies for us so that we can try the hummus later on. Little bit of salt. Pop this on. Here's the big trick. Can we get this induction oven to work? Let's figure it out. Okay, on the stovetop, and I need people to. This is a little bit different. Max. Okay, it's on high. While you're here, will you just make sure that this is getting warmish on the bottom here in a minute? And once it starts to pressure, we're going to start timing. These are garbanzos. Garbanzos tend to take a little bit longer to cook. They're a really hard bean, and I'm going to give that probably a good 45 minutes, which was what I wanted to start at first. And then afterwards, I have already done some for the hummus that we're going to make. So that is how simple it is to pressure garbanzo beans. Canning beans? Oh, yeah. Thank you for all these great questions. Canning beans, she's asking. Let's take a quick pause while these things kind of get up to pressure. Canning beans. If you want to buy the dry beans and then can them yourself in your own jars, super, super easy. Just put them in dry. Add the amount of water it tells you. I mean, you'll have to Google exactly how to do it. But put them in dry. You add the amount of water. In the pressure canning process, they cook. And then you just have them done up on your shelf, and you can use them as canned beans when you need them.
So you can't do it at least?
You could technically. The difference between a pressure canner and a pressure cooker is that the pressure canners have a gauge and shows you exactly what temperature they're at. And the Blue Book wants you to make sure that you maintain the correct amount of pressure for the right amount of time, because they've figured out what kills all the bacteria and everything so that they're safe for you to be able to eat. Okay? Technically, in a pinch, yes, you could do it this way and hope for the best. It would be better to have a pressure canner that gives you the gauge that tells you it's at 120 pounds of pressure right now or whatever, 110 pounds of pressure, whatever, so that you can keep it there for as long as you need it to. Again, Google is your friend on this one. I want to can kidney beans in quart jars. It'll tell you exactly how to do it. I had another thought while I was telling you that. What was it? Oh, they now make electric pressure canners like Instapots. They're like big Instapots, but they're canners, and this is so cool. So you could put your meat in there. They don't take a lot. I think it's like 4 quarts and maybe 6 or 7 pints or something. It's smaller than my massive pressure canner, right? That you can fit three stacks deep or whatever. It's less amount that you can put in it, but you push a button and you walk away, which is amazing, because everybody here who does pressure can knows that babysitting the pressure canner is the hardest thing about pressure canning. Okay, we got one that's pressured up. Is it this one? This one's released. So see this? Another safety feature. When it's too pressured up, it does start releasing on its own. I'm gonna lower the temp down to 175, and see if we can't get that one to lower down a bit. Say again.
You sell them air too?
The pressure can. I'm going to find them. Right now, Cuisinart makes one. I believe Nesco makes one, and possibly Presto. But people tell me that that have them are telling me they are super cool.
So which one is your preferred? Brands.
Nesco and Cuisinart, I know those brands, I've used them. I've never been super impressed with Presto, but maybe some of you out there, it works great for you. Presto's usually, we're trying to get it as cheap as we can and get it into your home so that you can use it, which is great. But the others, I think, are a little bit more expensive, a little bit better quality, and will last a little bit longer, okay? But yeah, people that are telling me like they're doing their meat, you stuff the meat in the jar, you just put them in there, push the button on meat, and you walk away and you come back to a canned product, which is fun. Yeah. Sprouting beans. I'm glad you're here, Janet. You've got some great questions. Sprouting beans, I think any and every bean will actually sprout. I can't think of a bean that does not sprout. There are grains that won't. Unless they're in whole, the grains you have to know how much hull you have to leave on them to get sprout. And when you say sprouting, I'm assuming that you mean we're going to grow a sprout. We're not just going to soak them until they wake up. By sprouting, I mean you're going to grow at least a tail and then be able to put it in your salads. Garbanzos are one of the best ones for that. Funny enough. Garbanzos are great. Lentils sprout really well in this legume family. We should have done something with lentils. Beans, I include lentils in my bean group. Maybe we'll do a whole lentil class by itself. Say again?
Lentil chips.
Lentil chips, yeah.
Lentil and water and blender and put it on your skillet.
Fun. Okay, yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Lentil chips. So they're cooked, right? No, you do raw lentils in water, and she blenderizes raw lentils in water. They'd have to probably soak a little bit. And then she just lays them out and dries them, makes lentil chips.
I have salt and cumin and
Yeah, season them up. Yeah, fun. But so mung beans people don't tend to eat mung beans cooked. You tend to sprout mung beans. Garbanzos are a good sprouter. Lentils sprout well. But pretty much any bean will at least soak and give you some more nutrient. And I would think that most of them will give you a tail. The bean is basically the seed that you're going to put in the ground and grow. We're going to demo the garbanzo, the hummus, because this is what I told them that I would do for them. So there's people that don't love hummus. It's because they're buying hummus at the store. I found this hummus recipe years ago, and we make hummus, and we love it. It's a little bit more, to me, it's just more flavorful. I really love this hummus. So I'm going to gather, most of this I think I have already done. Let me just, will you please, no, I can do this. This is good. I think we got it. All right. I am doubling this recipe. So here's my 2 15-ounce cans of garbanzo beans.
You don't have a hummus printer.
4. What's that?
Do you not have a hummus printer?
I don't. Okay, guys, my hummus dip and I don't have it out there, Jenna, that's why. My hummus dip and the Firehouse baked beans we're making in a minute, they are on the website. sageandplow.com. Under recipes, you're going to find both of those. The one is called hummus dip. The other one's called Firehouse baked beans. Those two are on there. That's why this needs a little help sometimes. Okay. Is the other one needing a little help? These pots need a little start sometimes to get this to understand that it's supposed to pop up. It's just got to catch the steam. Okay, let's go back to this. So this is how simple it is. We're going to be able to try it here in a minute. This is my 4 cans, basically, of 15-ounce garbanzo beans. These are the ones I soaked, cooked yesterday. Yep, and I'll tell you in a minute. Don't mind my hands because I use my hands. It's going to taste better. I washed my hands. It's showing about, is that a 6, 8, 7? About 7 cups, okay? Dried, I did 4. Yes, I did 4 with 6 cups of water. And on this recipe, save the water. What's that?
4 with 6 cups of water?
Sorry, 4 with 8 cups of water. Yeah.
So when I've done it before, the skins come off half of them and then they bite me and then I start there and taking the skins off. Are they just perfectly fine with this?
Yes.
Yes. All the skins are all, yeah. You can see skins, I got skins coming off. They're going to blend up. Yeah, good question. Sorry, 4, let me get this right for the video. 4 cups of beans with 12 cups of water. That's what I really did. Not what I just told you, okay? But yes, thank you, good question. I leave the skins, I mean, there's little skins in here, they're gonna blend up. The peeling is the best part of the food usually, right? So I'm assuming the same thing with those. Let's leave.
The other question I have is when you pre-soak them, and then you go to cook them, and then you put the water versus the milk. Do you still do the same? Because you already absorbed the amount of water, so I've had a confusion.
You know something? Play with it. Because I just want you to make sure that the water stays above the level of the bean the whole time. It's just a matter, and you can do whatever works for you, okay? The reason I do 3 to 1 is because that way I am assured when I open up that pan, the water's gonna still be on top. Does that make sense? And so you may, on a bean like these, some of these that we're gonna do, where the sauce has some flavor, you're gonna serve that up with it. But if you're going to drain it, if you're going to do just a single bean, you'll probably end up draining them, and that's okay. There's nothing says you can't use that water in your bread or to, honey, will you kindly please stop this? Okay, thanks. To cook rice in, she's right, to cook rice in. Figure out clever ways. Once you start cooking this stuff in your own kitchen, you're going to, and you have this stuff available, your mind's just going to take off and you're going to have fun with it. Yeah, go ahead.
So what if I avoid oil in my gallbladder? So
Olive oil is super good for your gallbladder, isn't it? Okay. Okay.
Have you ever done acapava? I didn't know to
No, but figure it out and tell me. Sorry, I'm going to take this down to 175. Okay, this is, remind me. Is that Anasazi? They need 30, 25, 25. Let's say 25 on the Anasazi. Will somebody please time these for me, 25? You've already got the other ones going. Okay, Brian's got these. Okay, see there's 2 little lines on this. When it's up to pressure, the 2 lines show. Low pressure means the top line only shows. High pressure means both lines are showing. This is the top pressure. I just walk around in my kitchen until I hear it starting to go psh, then I know it's the pressure, okay? So, all right. Olive oil going in. Will you cut this in half for me, please? What's that? How much olive oil? I've got a cup. Cup of olive oil, yep. On this one. Okay, she's gonna, you can if you'd like. All these little things will be washed out. If you want to do some dishes, you can. Go get some dish soap from the kitchen. That would be awesome, love. Thank you. Do you have that cut in half for me? Oh, she's going to do it. We'll just do it in order for the recipe. Okay. I know it's an orange juicer, but the lemon juicers are too small for me. Okay, juice of 1 lemon's going in. I always put them back together, get the last of the juice out because I don't like to waste juice. All right, I think we're juiced. Okay, here's another dish, love. I'll do that when you can. Thank you, sweetie. Okay, we're doing 2 tablespoons of parsley, so it's 4 tablespoons of parsley, and because it says roughly chopped, excuse me, what's this for? This is gonna chop it. So why am I chopping it before time? I don't know. There we go. Parsley. That's how I cook. Okay, and then we've got 2 cloves of garlic, 4, and I'm gonna put them in whole because it's gonna chop it. Don't do that whole lot of extra work. I don't feel like we need to do a whole lot of extra work. That one needs to go be washed too, love, thanks. I put 4 cloves in, 1.5 teaspoons of salt, which is a tablespoon. Yeah, we can go print them off. It's on the website. But I can copy this. I didn't copy this one just because it's oh, maybe this one's entire. As soon as I'm done with this one, she can have it. And she can go print it out for you guys. So I'm putting in a tablespoon of salt to double the recipe. I'm putting in a teaspoon of sesame oil. And forgive me for not measuring my teaspoon because it's so tiny I don't think it's going to measure. And I love to, you know what? I love the sesame oil. I'm putting more than a teaspoon in because I love the sesame oil. If you guys use, does anybody here use sesame oil? You can use tahini if you have tahini instead. I don't tend to have tahini on hand, but I love the sesame oil for other baking, and so, or for any Oriental. It smells, you guys here, you want to seriously just pass that around and smell it if you want to. I love this, I love sesame oil. But if you have tahini, use tahini instead. I would do more. I would do more. The sesame oil is more concentrated. Okay, my cumin's right here. We've got black pepper. We need half a teaspoon. Okay, half a teaspoon going in. Now, oh, and the paprika. It's at the end, but I always put as much paprika in as I do everything else because I love the paprika. Smoked paprika. Smoked paprika. Love it. It adds, paprika itself, I don't think you ever know it's in your food. It's pretty. On top of your potato salad, it's really pretty. Do you ever taste it? But the smoked paprika, oh man, so delicious. Okay, now I'm gonna run this. This is my bean water that I saved. Okay, I saved my bean water. And as we run this, I'm gonna add according to what I feel like it's gonna need, okay? Cups. I like mine a little bit loose because otherwise in the fridge it seizes up too much. That's about it though. I think it's about there. I'm gonna let it run a little bit just because I put all that whole stuff in, so just make sure it gets caught in there. And that's hummus, guys. And we're gonna try it. I've got a bowl right here. We're gonna dump it out into here and we're gonna have it for our little taster in a minute. And that's how easy do your own hummus can be. We'll let it run just a little bit longer. Oh, it smells so yummy. Okay. Okay, I got it pressured up here. We're going down to simmer. Okay, these are the Cafe Rio beans, yes? These need 30 minutes. Will someone set a timer for 30 minutes for me, please? And hopefully, everything's gonna get done about the same time and we can eat it, okay? So this one's pretty, that one's pretty fired up. Okay, I think we're good. Should we try it? I'm going to do this really quick. Let's just scrape the sides for a minute. Put it back in there. It's a little paler than normal, but I wonder if that's because I had the beans out all night. And I soaked the beans. Okay. Yeah, that looks, did I put everything in it? I want to make sure we have it right. Yeah, we did. Everything's in there. Good to go. Okay, that one's done. Now, on this next recipe, I'm